So today we're going to start with some seed starting, and the equipment that I use is what you see, which is the Jiffy Seed Starting Greenhouse Kit and the Seed Starting Peat Pellets. And you can see that they're compressed peat in some sort of casing, and the round part at the top, that's your top part where you plant your seed. And then today we're going to plant the seeds that you see on the countertop.
What are you?
Which is the sashimi cucumbers. There's a Japanese cucumber and an Excelsior cucumber. And then one type of squash, a crooked neck squash, and a spineless zucchini, and a butternut squash. Most of our seeds, as you can see, are from Johnny Seeds. And this Japanese cucumber I got from a friend, so it says it's from the Katazawa Seed Company.
And it has been our experience in the past. If you get seeds off the rack from Home Depot and Lowe's, sometimes it can be hit and miss. So we pay a little extra and order them from Johnny Seeds and some other, I think Baker Creek's another seed company, good reputable seed companies. And we've had excellent luck with those, great germination and much more varieties to choose from. So I want to check into those companies when you're buying your seeds. I asked you earlier, honey, because I know nothing about really seed starting. This is all her baby. How come we're not using potting soil or potting mix, seed starting mix? This is just easier for you.
It's easier for me, and they're already pre-cells, and I can plant this when I up pot or put it in the garden. The drawbacks of using peat is that they dry out very easily, so you have to really watch your watering. Sometimes you might need to water 1 time a day, 2 times a day, just depends. Now with this kit that we have, it comes with a bottom and a top, which we'll show you. And so once the seeds are in here, then you put the dome on and we put it underneath the light. So why don't we start with inflating the peat pellets?
I don't know what that means, but
okay. So typically I take and I put a peat pellet in each cell, and then I wet the cells and I sit and wait. But I had some difficulty with that, so I'm trying a new method, and I'm using a pie pan. And I put my seed cells in there, and it's warm water.
How long do you leave them in there?
Until they expand.
Okay. I mean, is that just a few minutes, or?
It can take a few minutes.
Okay.
The other way you can do it is put it in line all those up, put it in one of these containers, and water it and wait. So we're going to see how that works.
Okay. All right, we're going to let these soak. Apparently they need to expand or do some type of magic, and then we'll check back in a few minutes.
Are you ready? All right, so these have been soaking. These peat pellets have been soaking a while. I've had to add water. I don't know how you're supposed to do it, but I kind of pinch around the sides, and if it's hard down in there and not pliable, then it's not soaked all the way through. So I have added water probably 2 or 3 times, and the majority of them are ready. So typically when I would do them in the containers themselves, then it was a little bit more of a mess trying to drain the water. But since they're in here in this, I'm just going to take them out and stick them in the containers. And as you can see, when we were talking earlier, you can see I've started another set of pellets. There's a top part with circles and a bottom part that's closed. What you see now is the top part with circles, and there's a small hole. So, it does take a while for them to expand. So now that I've got one done, what I do is I just kind of spread the opening a little bit and just kind of rip that casing just a little. And when your plants are ready and you go to either up pot them or you go to put them directly in the garden, you can put them in the garden directly with this. And I just kind of rip the bottom open to give the roots some room. I don't know if you need to do that or not, but I do it because it just feels like the plants would be happier having a little more space to grow. All right?
Doing all these today.
Yes, that's the plan.
Start with the bottom of the butternut squash.
All right. So you want to make sure that your hands are dry before you start handling your seeds. I'm not sure how many are in here. These were seeds that I shared or were shared with me from a friend. And of course, I taped them shut so nobody can get into them.
Including yourself.
Including me. So there's not that many seeds in here. We've never grown butternut squash before, but it looked interesting. So as you can see, the seeds are pretty big. I don't know how far they're supposed to go down. I'm just going to poke it down and lightly cover it up.
Yeah, I think in ground they were about a 1/2 inch to 1 inch.
And just poke it down and cover it up. And since this won't be a whole tray, I'll probably put some flowers in the tray, but typically the flowers that we've planted so far, they've come up very quickly compared to anything else, so maybe not. Okay.
You always make sure you, especially if you got several varieties of cucumbers, make sure you put your tags in the right place, because once they come up, all their leaves look the same. You won't know what you got planted.
That is true. And my husband is a bit more of a organized person than I am. And he'll ask me, what did you plant here? And typically my answer is, I don't know. We'll just have to see when it comes up. This is a spineless Perfection hybrid zucchini. I looked online for our area, which is zone
We're 9A now.
9A.
Yep.
And the Gainesville Extension Office said this species, or what do you call it?
Variety.
Yeah, variety.
All right. Camera shut off on us, and we planted 10 this zucchini.
Yes.
So these 10 right here are zucchini, and we only put 1 seed per pod. Sometimes it might be better to put 2 because your germination rate for those was 92%, which means the likelihood of all 10 coming up is not 100%. So, but we just planted 1 per pod. If they all come up, we have 10 plants. If they don't, we're fine with that. Because for our garden, we're actually fine with 3 to 5 plants would be enough. But if we get more, that's fine too. Let me show the front of the pack there from Johnny Seeds. This is like, if you see the test date here, they were tested. This seed, this set of seeds was tested September of 2024. Germination rate was 98%, so that's pretty good. So we've got 10 plants we're going to put here. Likelihood, we're going to get 9 out of 10 plants, or possibly all 10. It's always better to plant more than less, because some of your plants, even though they come up, they may not be healthy. They may not make it. It's just good to have some backup plans.
All right, so this is the room that we've been using for our seed starts. And so as you can see, the tray is full. And this is the rack that we have. So I'm going to turn the lights on. And those lights will stay on about 14 hours a day. And initially, we are going to cover our seeds. And as you can tell, the seeds are very far away from the light. So what we will do is we'll stack some books or blocks or something underneath that to raise this up to where it is directly underneath the light. So over on this side of the room is some seeds that I've already started. And you can tell on this bottom shelf the seeds have come up. They're a little damp, but not really. They dry out very quick. To water them, you can get a special watering can. I use a bottle that honey was in and use that to water the seeds. And
I can't see the tags. What all do you got planted down here? I see
I've got snapdragons, tomatoes,
can't tell.
zinnias,
And then that,
marigolds, and Cherokee purple on the end.
got a lot of tomatoes.
Yes, and then up here in the top, we have some rainbow bell pepper. Oh, look, and they're coming out. So that's 1, 2, 3 that are coming up. This was planted at the same time of those other seedlings you just looked at, and they just take a little bit more time. They say not to, as you can see, this one here has some dirt stuck to it. You may want to touch it, but don't. Just leave it. And this is still moist. If you touched in here, it's still damp. So keeping the lid on does help keep that moisture in there. As you can see, the condensation. And you see how close those lights are.
Just from videos I've watched with the plastic on there, does that kind of create a greenhouse?
Yes, yes.
With the moisture.
But once your seeds come up, then you want to take them out of that environment and just put them under your lights.
Okay, now once these get, we try to time everything where they'll be ready to go to the garden during planting season, which most of this is going to be about right around mid-March for us in Zone 9A, depending on weather.
Then I will up pot them in some potting mix. I leave them in this pod. So I would take the pod out, and then I would open up the bottom and replant it in a slightly larger container, so probably about that big around. And I've got some of those that are made out of this cardboard also. I reuse these. That's why I really like these little pods, because I can reuse all of these things the following year.
Okay. Well, you've been seed starting for a while. I just hadn't really got into it, but there's nothing wrong with buying starter plants. That's still gardening, but if you notice at Home Depot and Lowe's, starter plants are averaging about $5
At least, yeah.
for a tomato plant, a pepper plant. Very, very expensive. So I don't remember. We ordered a lot of seeds, flowers, vegetables. I've got corn. I mean, there's just a lot of seeds that you're not even seeing here. And I think we spent about $60 or $70 in seeds total. But we will very much recoup our money through seed starting. So this is really the way to go.
Now, if you'd like, I can show you some other seeds that I started in an AeroGarden.
Our niece bought this for Barbie, about 2 years ago for Christmas?
Yeah, and I used it then with some pre-seeded pods. And this year I bought some pods to start baby bell peppers. And as you can see, that's the brand AeroGarden. It's very simple setup. There's a water reservoir that you put water in. Whenever the light tells you, whenever this light down here blinks, or right there, that's when you add fertilizer, and it just takes a cap of fertilizer. These little caps here stay on and create the greenhouse effect. And as you can see, we got a little baby bell pepper. And the pods, they just sit down in the water. And you can see a little hole maybe, and that's where I put the seed. And it waters itself, turns the light on and off. After a while, when the plants get a little bit bigger, you do remove the top portion of that pod.
Same thing when they're ready, you'll up pot them.
Yes.
Put them in some seed mix.
And if you can see, everybody's got a plant in it that's come up except this one in the back. So we've had 95 or whatever % that is germination.
If you enjoyed the video, if you learned anything, we're learning as we go as well. Appreciate if you would like, share, and subscribe. And we'll see you on the next one. Everyone have a blessed day.